The dim light of the bedside lamp cast long shadows across the luxurious hotel suite in Shanghai, where the air still hung heavy with the scent of sweat and expensive perfume. Scarlett Wang lay tangled in the silk sheets, her body aching from the intensity of the night. Beichen stood at the foot of the bed, buttoning his crisp white shirt with deliberate slowness, his dark eyes fixed on her with a mixture of triumph and disdain. "You think you're above everyone else," he said, his voice low and laced with venom, "that no one could touch you. Well, I just did. And that's your fate as long as you'll be here with me as your husband." He adjusted his tie, not bothering to glance back as he strode toward the door. The click of the lock echoed like a final punctuation mark, leaving Scarlett alone in the silence. She pulled the sheets tighter around her, tears stinging her eyes. How did it come to this? Married to a man who saw her as nothing more than a trophy to humiliate, a reminder of past grievances. But deep down she knew she had brought this upon herself. The seeds of this nightmare had been sown years ago, in a boardroom where arrogance had blinded her to the humanity in front of her. 5 years earlier, Scarlett Wang was the epitome of untouchable success. At 25 she had parlayed her family's wealth into a thriving entrepreneurial venture within the Wang Group, a conglomerate specializing in medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. Her father, Mr. Wang, had built the company from the ground up, but Scarlett's sharp mind and relentless drive had propelled it into new markets. She was beautiful, long raven hair, porcelain skin and eyes that could command a room, but her beauty was a weapon, often wielded alongside her biting sharp tongue. She treated employees like pawns, partners like inferiors, and anyone seeking favors like beggars at her gate. It was in her father's opulent office on the top floor of the Wang Tower that she first encountered Beichen. He was 30 then, lean and unassuming with a quiet intensity in his gaze. Dressed in a modest suit that screamed startup desperation, he had come pleading for investment in his fledgling AI company. His pitch was passionate. An innovative platform that could detect diseases in the human body before it happens, using artificial intelligence and AI startup predicting disruptions in the human body before they happened. But to Scarlett, it sounded like another pipe dream from nobody. Mr. Wang listened politely, his fingers steepled under his chin. Scarlett, seated to his right as his unofficial advisor, rolled her eyes midway through. When Beichen finished, she leaned forward, her voice dripping with condescension. "This company isn't a charity for cases like you," she said, her words slicing through the air like a knife. "We've met plenty of hopeless individuals who think they can turn their lives around overnight with one lazy, silly dream they refuse to give up on. Your idea? It's unproven, risky and frankly beneath us. Father, don't waste your time. His fantasy is not worth throwing millions into. I would advise you, Mr. Beichen, to get a real job and come out of your fantasies." Beichen's face paled, but he didn't argue. He simply nodded, gathered his papers and left the room with quiet dignity. As the door closed behind him, Scarlett felt a fleeting twinge of something, guilt perhaps? But she brushed it aside. In her world, weakness was to be exploited, not pitted. For Beichen those words were a gut punch. He returned to his cramped apartment on the outskirts of Shanghai, where his mother lay bedridden with a chronic illness, and his younger sister, May, studied late into the night. His job as a software engineer barely paid the bills, but the dream of his AI startup was his lifeline. Scarlett's dismissal stung, but oddly it fueled him. "If they won't help," he muttered to himself that night, "I'll make it happen anyway." He redoubled his efforts, networking relentlessly, refining his prototype in stolen hours. 3 years passed in a blur of setbacks and small victories. Beichen's breakthrough came unexpectedly. An invitation to a tech summit in Dubai. There, amid the glittering skyline, he showcased his AI system to a room full of international investors. To his astonishment, several Europeans were impressed by its predictive accuracy. Americans were drawn to its scalability. Funds poured in and Beichen's company, now rebranded as Beichen Tech, exploded. Within 2 more years his name was synonymous with innovation across Shanghai, China, Japan and East Asia. Headlines hailed him as the AI visionary, and his net worth skyrocketed into the billions. He bought back his family's old house, ensured May's education at a top university, and quietly mourned the mother who hadn't lived to see his success. Meanwhile, the Wang Group thrived under Scarlett's iron fist. She expanded into new territories, her arrogance growing with each deal closed. But pride, as they say, comes before the fall. The crisis hit like a tsunami. It started with a disgruntled employee, a mid-level manager fired for embezzlement, who leaked anonymous rumors online. Wang Group using inferior materials in medical supplies, the posts claimed. Cutting corners to boost profits, endangering lives. The story went viral overnight. Hospitals canceled orders, consumers boycotted, and investors panicked. Stock prices plummeted, debts mounted as loans were called in, and key staff jumped ship. The company teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. Mr. Wang paced his office, his once commanding presence reduced to haggard worry. "We need a lifeline," he confided in Mr. Li, his longtime friend and advisor. Li, ever the pragmatist, suggested Beichen Tech. That young entrepreneur Beichen, he's made a name for himself bailing out struggling firms. His AI could optimize our supply chain and his capital could stabilize us. Desperate, Mr. Wang arranged the meeting. He arrived at Beichen Tech's sleek headquarters, a towering glass edifice symbolizing everything his own company had lost. Ushered into the CEO's office, he froze. There, behind the massive desk, sat Beichen, older, sharper, exuding the quiet power of a man who had conquered his demons. "Mr. Wang," Beichen said smoothly, rising to shake his hand. "It's been a while." Words failed Mr. Wang. The beggar from years ago was now the savior? He stammered through his plea, outlining the crisis, begging for partnership. Beichen listened impassively, then leaned back. "I'll help," he said finally. "On one condition, your daughter Scarlett marries me." Mr. Wang blinked, certain he'd misheard. "Marry? But why?" "Take it or leave it," Beichen interrupted, his eyes cold. "The Wang Group survives or it doesn't." Back home, Mr. Wang broke the news to Scarlett. She exploded in fury. "Marry him? That nobody? This is absurd." But as the reality sank in, the potential loss of everything her family had built, she relented. "Fine. For the company." The wedding was rushed. A week later, in a private ceremony at an upscale venue overlooking the Huangpu River. Scarlett, in a designer gown that felt like a straitjacket, walked down the aisle. When the groom turned, her world tilted. Beichen, the man she'd dismissed so callously, now stood there in a tailored tuxedo, a smirk playing on his lips. And worse, through the merger clauses she'd skimmed in her anger, he now owned over half the Wang Group's shares. The reception was a blur of forced smiles and whispers. Beichen pulled her aside afterward. "Welcome to your new life, charity case," he whispered, echoing her long-ago insult. "This marriage? It's payback." Life as Mrs. Beichen was a meticulously crafted hell. Beichen installed Scarlett as his personal assistant at Beichen Tech, a demotion that stung like salt in a wound. Her days were filled with ridiculous tasks designed to break her spirit. "Print this letter," he'd say, handing her a single page. "But take the stairs from the first floor to the 13th. No elevator, it's good for your health." Or, "Arrange these documents in ascending order by date, then descending by alphabet. Oh, and they're all outdated. Do it anyway." The employees, who adored their loving and respectful boss, watched in stunned silence. Whispers rippled through the office. "Why is he treating his wife like that? She must have done something terrible." Adding fuel to the fire was Ling, Beichen's girlfriend of 2 years, a stunning model with a viper's tongue. Ling had begged Beichen to bring her into the company to work by his side, but he'd always refused, citing professionalism. Now seeing Scarlett at his desk, Ling seethed. She cornered Scarlett in the break room one day, her voice a hiss. "You think you're special? He only married you out of pity. You're nothing but a burden." Beichen, overhearing from his office, didn't intervene. Instead he called Scarlett in later. "Ling's right," he said loudly enough for eavesdroppers. "You're just a charity case I have to deal with. Don't forget that." Scarlett's heart shattered. She didn't love Beichen, not yet, but as his wife she deserved basic respect. Tears welled as Ling taunted her later. "Run along, little assistant. Fetch his coffee like a good girl." But Scarlett endured. Her father's legacy hung in the balance. One wrong move and the Wang Group could crumble. She bit her tongue, focused on the work, and found solace in unexpected places. One evening, after a grueling day, Scarlett retreated to the Beichen family home, a sprawling villa on the city's edge. There she met May, Beichen's 19-year-old sister, at home on holiday from university. May was a breath of fresh air, bubbly, kind, with a chatterbox energy that filled the quiet house. They bonded over tea in the garden, May defending Scarlett against her brother's barbs. "Ignore him," May said, waving a hand. "He's not always like this." Curious, Scarlett asked, "Why is he so cold to me?" May leaned in, eyes wide. "Big brother used to be the sweetest guy. Loving, always helping everyone. But a few years ago he hit rock bottom. His job barely paid, Mom was sick, really sick, and we were about to lose the house. He had this big business idea and poured his soul into it. Pitched it to some big shot company, begged for investment. The owner was interested, but his daughter, she shut it down. Called it a charity case, said it was hopeless. Without that money we couldn't afford Mom's treatments. She died soon after and the bank took the house." Scarlett's blood ran cold. "That daughter, what happened?" May shrugged. "Brother never said her name. But it changed him. He's cold now, guarded. Still nice to most people, but that pain? It's like a wall." The realization hit Scarlett like a freight train. She was that daughter. Her words had cost him everything: his mother, his home, his trust. The marriage wasn't just revenge. It was punishment for a sin she hadn't fully understood. From that day Scarlett changed. No more retorts, no more glares. She met his cruelty with quiet kindness, pitying the man beneath the armor. When he snapped, she apologized softly. When he assigned absurd tasks, she completed them without complaint. Beichen noticed. At first, suspicion flared. "What game are you playing?" he'd demand. But in the quiet moments, watching her organize files late at night, or bring him coffee without being asked, a warmth stirred in his chest. Happiness, long buried, flickered to life. Weeks turned to months. The Wang group stabilized under Beichen's guidance, his AI streamlining operations and quashing the rumors with transparent audits. Scarlett's role evolved subtly. Beichen began assigning real tasks, valuing her business acumen despite himself. Ling, sensing the shift, escalated her attacks. She spread gossip in the office. Scarlett's just using him to save her daddy's company. One afternoon she confronted Scarlett in the hallway. "He'll never love you. You're a placeholder." Scarlett, drawing on her newfound empathy, replied calmly, "Maybe. But I'm his wife. That's more than you'll ever be." Ling's fury boiled over. She stormed into Beichen's office, demanding he fire Scarlett. "Choose, her or me." Beichen, to his own surprise, chose neither. "Ling, this isn't about you. Leave." Alone that night, Beichen reflected. Scarlett's change had cracked his walls. He remembered his mother's dying words, "Forgive, son. Hate poisons the soul." Had he become the monster she'd warned against? The turning point came during a company gala. Scarlett, radiant in a red gown, stood by his side. Whispers followed them, but she held her head high. When a rival CEO mocked the Wang merger as charity, Beichen snapped. "My wife is no charity. She's the smartest partner I've got." Scarlett's eyes met his, surprise mingling with hope. Later in their suite, the same one from that fateful night, he pulled her close. "I was wrong," he admitted. "I wanted to hurt you like you hurt me. But you've shown me grace I didn't deserve." Tears fell as Scarlett confessed. "I know what I did. To you, your family. I'm so sorry." They talked until dawn, unraveling years of pain. Forgiveness didn't come easy, but it started there. As seasons changed, so did their marriage. Beichen dismantled the humiliations, promoting Scarlett to a co-lead role. Ling faded into irrelevance, her jealousy no match for budding love. May cheered from the sidelines, her chatterbox nature turning matchmaker. The Wang group flourished, a true partnership. Scarlett, once arrogant, learned humility. Beichen, once cold, rediscovered warmth. One evening as they walked along the Bund, Beichen stopped. "You think you're above everyone?" he teased, echoing his old words. Scarlett laughed. "Not anymore. You've touched me in more ways than one." He pulled her into an embrace, the city lights reflecting in their eyes. Fate, it seemed, had a way of balancing the scales. If you've enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.